Hi everyone, welcome back to my video. I haven't long got in. I've been in about an hour, and I've got a nice cup of coffee in my marital cup, and my dog is on my lap, enjoying life, and the other one is on the sofa over there. So, I've come on because I feel almost compelled to tell you a little bit about myself in general. Basically, long story short, when I grew up, I had the most beautiful mother in the world, and this video really is aimed at if there's any young people watching from the age of about 9ish upwards, or maybe even younger, who care for an ill relative, be it friends, families, aunt, uncles, cousins, sisters, mothers, dads, granddads, grandmas, the list goes on, then this video reaches out to you guys. So long story short, when I got to about 9, I had a good childhood. Don't get me wrong, like my childhood was amazing. When I got to the age of 9, my mum's illnesses, like she hid a lot from me when I was younger. When my mum's illnesses like really started to kick in, i.e., she had all the discs in her back were severed, so you can imagine like they look like CD players where they were just CDs. They were just like crumbling, literally crumbling around her. So my mum used to walk with a bend in her back and literally drag her leg behind her to get me to school every day. And I never really knew how strong my mum was until in adult life. Not even adult life. When I was 9, I used to start going to doctor's appointments, hospital appointments, and other appointments here, there, and everywhere with her. I didn't realise the severity and the complexity of my mum's illnesses until 9 or 10. So at 9, I made my first dinner, which was sausages, chips, and beans, with my mum's prompting. She sat at the kitchen, like on a chair in the kitchen, and told me what to do, and I did it, and that was okay. And then it grew from there. And I did the cleaning and, got myself up and ready and stuff for school and, helped make my own lunch and stuff and my dad's packed lunch and whatever for work. And then when I got to so that carried on, and the list of chores keep growing, like, because she got iller and iller, like, she had anxiety. So my mum was actually a name on a list, a local milkman who his wife did something bad to him and he basically murdered her. This is a true story time, it's true. And my mum was on the list. And my mum didn't know this until the police came knocking on the door and informed her. And I was a kid and I was just a toddler. So my mum, I could never understand at the age of 9 why my mum would never want to be in the house alone with me, why the gas man always had to come on a Friday afternoon when my dad came home from work, why my mum was on the phone to my dad every other hour on the hour while he was at work, while I always had to go to every appointment with my mum, and her anxiety, she wouldn't go on planes, trains, taxis, buses. She had to either be driven by a friend or, when she did pass her test, drive herself. And then when the illnesses took hold, i.e. slip discs, she was a very heavy smoker, like 60 to 80 cigarettes a day smoker. So you can imagine what lungs, and she drank in the evenings. Instead of taking morphine, she would drink to numb the pain. So you can imagine my battle as a daughter. I want what's best for my mum, so I'll do everything in my fecking power to try and stop my mum smoking. It didn't work. Tried everything in my power to just keep her healthy, but I failed there, really. If I hadn't have failed, my mum would still be here, I feel, but that's what it is. Oh. So basically, long story short, in 2012, my mum was taken into hospital, like blues and twos. She was nearly dead. They literally had to start my mum's heart again, and keep her in hospital because she had, we didn't know until this point that she had COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, or disease, sorry, where her lung capacity was only a quarter working. So she had the lung capacity of a 4-year-old pretty much, and she was 55 at the time, or 56. Probably 56. My mind is blown with all of this, as I'm sure you can understand. So she fought for her life, and she got through thanks to some amazing paramedics. And we got her home, and we had the oxygen machine at home, cylinders I used to carry on my back. I used to carry the portable oxygen on my back everywhere we went. We got her a mobility scooter. I used to stand on the back of that while she drove it. It was hilarious. And we used to carry on everyday life. Like, I had to give up school. So my dad didn't realise until I broke down the other day and told him that, because he used to always shout at me, like, if you'd have done better at school, you da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And what he didn't realise is actually, Dad, I tried my best at school, but unfortunately I had to come out of school to make sure my mum was okay. I lost my school, like my schooling as a early adolescent. I got a job in the police force, but I couldn't take it because my mum's panic attacks were so bad. I couldn't take the job in the police force. And it's easy for some people on the outside to say, well, get a carer, get this, get that. My mum had anxiety, I couldn't do that. So it was either my dad comes out of full-time work, and he earns a sensible wage, he comes out of full-time work, while I've still got the rest of my life ahead of me. So I took a rain check on most of my important years for my mum. So my 18th birthday comes, and, my mum's anxiety kicks in, and I was supposed to be going to a club in London called Fabric or Ministry of Sound, one or the other. And my mum, her anxiety got so bad that she needed me back by midnight. And it sounds silly, you're 18, you're an adult, what are you doing? But I respect her wishes, and I came back. Any holidays? I'd never been on a plane until my honeymoon last year in 2016. I know. I know, like, to some people, this is small fry, but to me, I'm learning to live my life again after 9 till the age of 24. No, 24 when she died. I literally was just about to turn 25. So, it is what it is. So yeah, when people sit there and ask me, like, about my life, I was, before my mum died, like, I used to take my mum to work with me as a hairdresser. And I earned quite a nice wage as a hairdresser. And when my mum died, I just threw my career up in the air. I was like, I can't do this because it was just, I couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. And I was in that lull where I didn't quite know what to do in life. I was lost. Spending every day with your mum to then, she's gone. Couldn't work it out. couldn't work it out. So, this is really hard for me, but I need to make this. It's kind of closure for me. So yeah, I spent the best part of a year trying to figure out where to go from here, because my life's mine now. My life is mine. If I want to run around the street naked, I can. If I want to catch a plane to San Francisco tomorrow, I can. I've never had these choices. I've never had my own life in my hands. I've always had to look at how my mum's medication times, inhaler times, oxygen times, doctor's appointments. My life has been consumed by caring for a critically ill, terminally ill person. So, I used to lay with my fingers on her pulse at night just to feel that she was alive. I used to put my hands under her nose and over her mouth because I knew the end was coming. I just didn't know when. Didn't know when. Didn't know when. And she died on Boxing Day. 2012. Boxing Day. Yep. Boxing Day. So we are big avid Christmas goers in this family. And Christmas ain't the same no more. But we learned to celebrate it still because that's what she'd have wanted. God, this is really hard. I'm so sorry. Oof. My mum was cremated on January the 9th, which is the same day that her dad died, funnily enough. You couldn't have planned that if you tried. And the song I used for her funeral was Freddie Mercury's Don't Stop Me Now. It's a Queen song, Don't Stop Me Now. Don't stop me now, I'm having such a good time, I'm having a ball. Because that's how my mum lived her life. She lived her life on the red line, just totally not giving a monkey's about anybody or anything or anyone. It was live life to the full. She had the biggest heart of gold. It was, you've got one life, live it. We all got to die of something, so it will just were. And I admire that from my mum, because to make decisions that other people aren't happy about takes guts. So I hope I get that from my mum. My dad and me and my husband currently live under one roof because I couldn't bear to leave my dad on his own due to, I want to make sure that, we got a house big enough for it. It's not a problem, but I wanted to make sure that my dad is fed, watered, and has the emotional support that he needs. Because for me, losing a mum's traumatic, but he lost a wife of 30 odd years. That's, if I lost Simon, I've only been with him for 6 years, I think my world would end. So I can understand how, he feels there. So, when my mum passed, my life got tipped upside down and I gave up hairdressing. I spent a year not knowing what I was doing. Then I found myself, there was an advert in the local paper for a care assistant, a nursing care assistant. And I took the job. Why did I do that? Why did I jump from caring for someone all my life to then I could do anything in the world. Anything. Why did I choose that? Because, believe it or not, in here, something just made me do that. And you know what? I have the best memories. And I still do care to this day. I do like 1 or 2 7-hour shifts a week just because for me, it's a hobby. It's a hobby I get paid for and I'm proud of it. So there's that side of me that you didn't know. So when I stopped my 5-star champagne lifestyle as a hairdresser and went to £7.20 an hour, you can imagine I ran into some financial difficulties. My husband is amazing. He helped me out every step of the way. There was nothing that I did that Simon didn't, you know, that Simon didn't help me through. Basically, I'm not going to make this a million-hour long video, but what I am going to say is, for all of you or any of you who are carers or know somebody that's caring, give them a pat on the back. Give yourselves a pat on the back, because caring, I'm not going to lie to you, is the single most toughest job I've ever done. Ever. And I mean ever. Like, you could put me in a builder's yard and make me do manual labour for hours upon hours of time, but I would rather do that than suffer the daily torment of watching your loved one die in front of your eyes. So, with all that being said and done, I love each and every one of you. Thank you for taking the time out to listen to me today. It's not been an easy video to make, but I think it needed to be made to just highlight there are young carers and family members that are caring for people out there, and they need some support. And I'm not ashamed of my decisions in life. I'm not ashamed of where I've been, or I'm not ashamed of nothing. I mean, I got bullied for my mum's illness when I was younger. They used to call her the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And because I was never at school, I used to get bullied for skyvalitis, or whatever you want to call it, they used to say to me. And I could never tell them what I was doing or why I was off. I used to get stick from the teachers, but they never really knew either why I'm never at school. And this is why I was never at school, because if I wasn't at home to care for my mum, when I was at school, I was worrying about her even more than I was when she was asleep at night. So here we go. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. It's been a tough explanation, but I hope this 20 minutes of your time isn't wasted. Love teaching every single one of you, and I'll catch you soon. Bye guys.